So when you are when you are recording a transaction such as a car loan in a bank, you first do something which is called as credit underwriting. So credit underwriting is what? It's just an assessment of the borrower profile. Based on that, the bank will sanction the loan to you. In this case, the car value is how much? Car value is given to be as 10 lakhs. And what is the LTV that is sanctioned by the bank? The LTV that is sanctioned by the bank is, so loan to value ratio. It is 80%, which means that the loan value that is sanctioned by the bank, and since you are taking the loan today, this becomes your present value. That becomes 10 lakhs into 80%, which is 8 lakhs. ठीक है ना? And this is repayable over how many years? 5 years. So 5 years would mean is equal to 12 months a year into 5 years. That's 60 months. The rate of interest that is charged by the bank, which is actually your rate function, is how much? 12% a year divided by 12, which is 1% on a monthly basis, because it's mentioned compounded monthly. Now, there are two ways to get to this your annuity amount, which is your EMI. One way is a simple application of the PMT function in Excel. PMT stands for recurring payment. Again, not for your exam. You don't need to know it because your exam is going to be on pen and paper. For the real life application, very important, because you should ultimately, when you pass out from your college and join your corporate jobs, in your corporate stint, it's Excel which is going to come handy, not the formula. So let's be practical. So you need to know both, isn't it? So if I do PMT, what does it? PMT is recurring payment. So if I apply that is equal to PMT, what's the first thing it's asking you? Rate. Always link. Never hard code. In Excel, never hard code. Always link. क्या होगा उससे? If one input changes, everything changes on its own. So PMT rate is 1%, comma. What's N per number of periods? 60 months, comma. Present value is the loan that you are taking now, which is 8 lakhs. Future value of the loan is 0 because you have the willingness and the ability to repay the loan in full. So at the end of the loan tenure, which is 5 years from now, the loan will be 0 value in the bank's books. And we will take it as a by default end of the period loan, which is by default 0 in Excel. If it would have been a beginning of the period loan, you would have taken 1. But okay, that's the binary that Excel has attached: 0 for end of the period payments and 1 for beginning of the period payments. Now this is PMT. You can also apply the formula present value of annuity. Now, how do you come to the conclusion that this is present value of annuity? Because abhi, like in the exam, I will not be there. So how would you decide, looking at the language of the problem, that it is a present value of annuity? It's a combination of two things. One is present value and the other one is annuity. So first of all, what is an EMI? EMI is equated monthly installment. So every month you are paying a fixed sum to the bank. So that becomes, so recurring cash flows becomes your annuity. That's why we use the PMT function also. PMT stands for recurring payment. So ये हो गया annuity. And when have you taken the loan? Now. So it becomes present value. So if you combine it, it becomes PVA. And what is the formula for PVA? PVA is A into 1 minus 1 by 1 plus R raised to the power of n, okay, divided by R. and present value of the loan is how much? 8 lakhs. So if you solve for this equation, what do you get? Hence, A will be equal to what? 8 lakhs divided by this number. What is the value you see here? 17,795.56. Is it the same value? Ana paisa se. What you solved by formula and what you solved by PMT function, even if you use a calculator, we have already seen on the board last time. I have already told you the trick. Do not round off. Just keep doing the calculations on the numbers as they appear on the calculator screen. You will always end up with the right result. So that completes the first part of the question, which is what? You have computed the EMI. Now, next part of the question is your loan amortization schedule. Now, what does the loan amortization schedule tell you? So when you apply for a car loan, they give you a statement that, okay, this is how your loan is going to progress during the 5-year period. And this is the split of your EMI between principal and interest, which you would want to know, isn't it? So the way logically, conceptually, you should always design the problem in your mind before you start attempting it. If you design the problem or solution in your mind before attempting it, 80% of your task is done. That is what is thinking. No, thinking helps. So you should start with month. How many months are there? 12 months? No, 60 months. So you are having 60 months. Obviously, this you can't do on your paper. And in the exam, I'm not going to ask you to draw 60 months, so don't worry. In the exam, if you get a question, maybe I'll give you annual installments, not monthly. Okay, so, but you should know how it works. So I'll just draw this up to 60 months. So that you see how it is done, and then you can always try it on your own. बंद कर दे भाई, बंद कर दे, बंद कर दे, बंद कर दे लाइट, कोई बात नहीं, switch it off. So you have 60 months. You start with OBL. OBL is your opening balance of the loan. You add your interest. See, when the bank sanctions the loan to you, the interest is compounded monthly, which means on the month-end balance, the interest keeps getting added till you repay the loan. So interest will be added. What will be reduced? Your EMI, which is your payment to the bank, equated monthly installment, which consists of principal and interest both, is reduced from your loan balance. And what are you left with? Closing balance of the loan. ठीक है ना? So I start with a loan balance of 8 lakhs. What is the interest that it is going to charge me in the first month? 8 lakh into 1%, which is 8,000, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the EMI that you are going to pay? 17,795.56. So you start with 8 lakhs, it charges 8,000 interest, your loan value increases, minus your EMI, your loan value comes down, and you arrive at the closing balance of the loan. This becomes your opening balance for the next month. Again, on this balance, now see, now you have to pay only 7,90,204 to the bank. So the amount that will earn interest for the bank will be this value, the remaining value, right? So on this, the bank will again charge you interest at the rate of 1%. EMI remains same, and closing balance of the loan will be the same formula. Now, I don't need to repeat the steps. I just need to be doing something which is called as referencing, and I can just drag it to the bottom. And how do you know that your answer is right? The last value is zero. If the last value is zero, which means the loan has been amortized in full. It means that the loan has been amortized in full. Nothing remains. Okay. So loan has been paid in full. And what does this become? This statement that you see here, what does it become? This is your loan amortization schedule or loan amortization statement. Now this only tells you that, I mean, even though it's months and not years, slightly lengthy from the exam perspective, which is okay. In the exam, you will never be asked 60 months. Even if I ask you 5 years, I'm going to ask you to compute EAI, which is equated annual installment, not monthly. So you'll be able to complete the problem in just 5 days. But it's essential to know the concept. Now suppose I get a good bonus in the third year. What's your name, my friend? Priyansh. So Priyansh is doing well in his corporate careers, and at the end of 24 months from today, what is the loan value which is outstanding 24 months from today? 5,35,780. So Priyansh gets a good bonus. So being a good boy, he doesn't party too much. So he repays some of his loan. So the entire bonus that Priyansh gets is paid to the bank to reduce your principal value. So let's say the bonus that is repaid to the bank at the end of 2 years from today is 2 lakh rupees. Okay, Priyansh, are you happy with that bonus? So Priyansh gets this bonus and this is repaid to the bank. And then what is left now? What is the remainder loan value? 535 minus 2 lakhs, which is 3,35,700. And now what does Priyansh say? Priyansh says, now I want to reduce the EMI. I paid 2 lakhs ka loan. So please reduce the EMI for me. So bank says, okay, no problem. So bank is going to do something which is called as a revised EMI computation. So how will the bank do that? A revised EMI is equal to PMT. Rate remains same, which is what? 1%. Now, number of periods will come down to 36 now because 24 months have gone. So 36 months remain. So this becomes 36, comma. Present value of the loan is only 3,35,780 because he has already paid 2 lakhs extra. So only 335,780 remains. And future value of the loan, unless he wants to behave like Vijay Mallya, in which case he will not repay the loan. But I'm assuming he's a good boy, so he's going to repay the loan. And therefore, the loan value is going to come down to 0. And the end, we'll again assume end of the year payment. So now Priyansh sees a good reduction. He was paying 17,796 as the EMI. His EMI after the loan payment of just 2 lakh rupees, his EMI has come down to 11,153. Sizable, no? 6,000 a month. So now what does he do? He says, thank you for reducing the EMI. Please give me my revised LAS. You would want to know your revised LAS, no? What is revised LAS? LAS stands for Loan Amortisation Schedule. Okay, so let's do the revised LAS. So if you see the revised LAS, how many months remain? 36. So we will simply do, यहाँ पे I can just do this and drop it down to 60. Your loan balance is 335,780. on which 1% interest would be charged. Your EMI is this value, and closing will be this plus this minus this. This becomes your opening. Again, on this 1%, EMI remains the same, and that's it. Now, if you drag this down, again, this comes down to, so this is your revised LAS after repayment of this. You know what Priyansh did now? What Priyansh did now is actually called as principal reduction or principal prepayment. जो अभी प्रियांश ने किया उसको क्या कहते हैं? What is that activity called? That is called as principal, yes, principal prepayment or principal reduction. ये रीपे करने के बाद ये उसका रिवाइज्ड ईएमआई हो गया. This is his revised LAS. How do you see that this is correct? Just see this, right? If this is 0, that means your loan amortization schedule is correct. Now, we will do one more part to this. This EMI is a split of what? This EMI constitutes what? This EMI constitutes principal plus interest. So how will I break this up? How do I break this up? Total EMI minus interest. So EMI, so what I will do, you already know the interest part, so I'll capture the interest here. And principal probably I can capture here. So my interest I already know. This is my interest, which I am already aware of. So principal would be EMI value minus your interest value. And now what I am going to do next is drag this down. And this is your split between principal and interest. Do you see a pattern when you see this? What is the pattern that you see? So if you want to see the, yeah, go ahead. If you want to see the principal, what do you see in principal?
You're facing a big and move the interest part, but afterwards we are after paying EMIs, we are paying the split of principal ज़्यादा pay करते हैं.
Correct. So the principal component increases with time. So if I see my principal component, it actually increases with time. है ना? So I can name this also. इसका नामकरण कर सकते हैं. I can call this series as principal. And I can create another series, call it as interest. What is my interest? This is my interest. And I press OK. Now do you see? You will see two parts here. So do you see a difference between the two? I can also add my legend on the right. So the legend will tell you which line stands for what. Mind you, I might not ask you to construct this graph on Excel, but I can certainly ask you to draw this graph on paper and explain it to me. So you should be able to understand how this graph looks like and why. Don't worry, this file is going to come to you only. This is for you. Okay? Don't worry about it. So this is your principal and interest payment. You can change the look and feel of this graph the way you want. There are so many options available. जो भी आपको अच्छा लगे वो सूट कर. You take that. ठीक है? So you see that as the time progresses, my principal is, you see, principal is blue and interest is orange. So as my time progresses, my principal component increases and my interest component comes down. Why? See, that is the whole purpose of an amortization schedule. Bank will always want to recover your interest faster. So if you look at the EMI, look at the EMI. Interest is there. If you look at the interest, what happens? Yes. शुरू में क्या interest दिखेगा आपको? The interest that you see is highest initially, and then it starts dropping down. Why? Because bank will want to recover their income first. Right? So that's why the interest is highest at the beginning. And then the interest slowly starts coming down and the principal starts going up because the EMI has to be the same. That's why it's called EMI, equated. The principal component starts going down, going up, and the interest component starts coming down, and the EMI remains the same. And that's what you can see in the graph also. Clear, everyone? Excellent. So I'll just share this with you now.